friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'd like to share with you a new bundle that's in our mini catalog, August through the first couple days of January 21, affectionately still known as the Holiday Catalog. And this bundle is the Love of Leaves bundle. When I first saw it in the catalog, I said, okay, I have stamp sets with leaves and, you know, some really pretty ones. I actually am drawn to them very much. And then I looked at the dies and this really fun die over here, and I saw all of the stitching in here and the stitching around the leaves themselves and the cutting, and I thought I better get that and I better take a closer look at that. So I want to show you what I found out here with this card. You can see this really neat stitch detail that's on the panel on the front. And I also so anyhow, the stamp set is the Love of Leaves, and it is the Stitched Leaves dies, and it has this really cool die we're going to be using too. So let's take a look here at the card. And I did use my Ornate Frames dies. These were in last year's holiday catalog. They were with the Halloween set, but they carried over into our annual catalog. It has all these really cool little frames that you can use for your sentiments and other things. So I've been using this Ornate Frames dies packet a lot. And on this card, I use this frame here, but I'm going to be using this little guy here on this card. So some other things here. This beautiful paper here. This is with your Plaid Tidings. I've been using this a lot too, and the thing that I really do love about it is not only with the Christmas, but so many other colors of plaid in here all year round. So of course I picked this one here. I love the bright bumblebee in here, and the pretty peacock and the Cajun Craze, always my favorite fall color. So let's take a look at the inside. I also used the stamp set and the dies, but I didn't cut the die out here. I only impressed the stitching into it. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So let's just put this aside and get out our little goodie bag here. Now all the measurements and the materials I use on this card will be posted on the description underneath the YouTube video. It says a description of what we're doing, and then I also have all of the items I used. I'll have the measurements. You can also be taken over to my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com, by pressing on where it says visit my blog. Here's the link, and just press that link. You'll see additional photos and any other little fun things I want to show you. Okay, a lot of fun things here, but let's start with the thing we need most, and that's the card base. Oh, all the gorgeous colors here. Pretty peacock, bumblebee, the new In Color, and Cajun Craze. So we're going to use a pretty peacock for our card base, and this is just a half sheet of our cardstock, and it's cut 11 inches by 4 1/4, and we're going to score it in half on the 11-inch side at 5 1/2. And then you're going to have a portrait style card that fits into an A2 sized envelope. A2 size is that size that the Stampin' Up! Sells. It's called the medium envelope. We have it in Whisper White and very vanilla, and we also have it in the clear envelope. So that's essentially a half sheet of cardstock, whether you're cutting it in half on the 8 1/2-inch side or cutting it in half on the 11-inch side. So Pretty Peacock is our card base. Inside, we're going to be putting a piece of Whisper White, and to have a 1/8 inch border the whole way around, it's going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. Again, those measurements are on the blog post in the description for you. Now, what is the striking thing here is this stitched die here, okay? So we're going to be putting that white panel on the front. Now, I'm going to show you through a step, a succession of steps here. So the first thing I did is I used thick Whisper White for this because I wanted to get this nice impression in here. So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that's going to be going on the front of the card. And what I did is I used that die, and this die does not cut. It only, well, it does cut, but it impresses in, but it doesn't cut off to leave a negative or cut off anything. So you just pop that onto your white, and you'll just get a nice border around the side. That's what I liked, that same border on each side. Run it through your Big Shot. I love my new Stampin' cut and emboss machine, but I haven't figured out how to raise and lower my camera thing here, so bringing it up here might have been a little bit cumbersome, but I do love it. So I ran it through and I got these impressions of stitching there. So let me put this away so I do not lose that little guy, big guy. Okay, so the next thing I did is I wanted to cut out this leaf here that I stamped in Cajun Craze. So this is the next step. So the first step would be die cutting your stitched, okay? Now just imagine that now you are going to cut out this piece of white here, okay? So you're just cutting that out. I just put a little piece here so I can show you what it looks like, okay? Don't throw this white away because I have some plans for that. I got to figure out. I'm thinking of maybe doing some sponging on here, and the texture on there is really going to be pretty cool. So this then is going to be on the front of your card. But I wanted to put, gosh, you could have just left it exactly like that. That is really super pretty. Oh gosh, yes, you could have done that. Maybe I will on another card. But what I wanted to do is put a Cajun Craze flower in there. So you know what I did is you can see on here I have the Cajun Craze flower here. I have the pretty peacock here. And I also have the bumblebee here. Well, I wanted to cut these all out, and I actually didn't have any pre-cut scraps of the thick whisper white in my little drawer of thick whisper white. So what I did is I went ahead and used a card base, okay? So what I did is I stamped the Cajun Craze, I stamped the bumblebee one, and I stamped the pretty peacock one, and then I cut these two out. But I wanted to show you, because once this is cut out, you can see I could easily put a piece of plaid behind here. I could like put, well, let me see. I could stick this as an insert there. And then I haven't wasted any of this paper here, and I've put some pretty plaid behind those leaves if this one was cut out too. I also wanted to show you that when you use these dies, the stitching ends up being on the outside of the negative that's cut out. So you've got the stitching on the outside. So I wanted to show you that. So just always be thinking about how to use your paper wisely. Once we invest in these fun things. So I would be cutting this one out, but the magic of video, I already cut that one out. But you're also noticing a difference between this stamped image and this cutout one. You also see the stitching. Now look here, you can see on the back that this stitching came into the middle of the leaf. Well, the way you do that is look at all these leaves that are in this set here. I haven't got these mounted yet. I was just too busy playing around here, so cooperate here with me, guys. Oh, I think I have a little bit of did you ever do that, like we get the adhesive from the dies on there? But you'll notice that each one of these leaves has stitching. So when I take these off, what I would be doing is I would be putting this in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I would put my die around that image. And then I just pop this into here. Now I did have a die set a few years ago that you had to die cut it first, and then you had to put the impression thing onto the pre-cut die, which was really annoying. And that's what this was going to be like. And what I thought this was like, but it's actually not that way. You can do it at the same time. So all you do is put that die and just make sure, now of course I'm moving it here, but just make sure the die is right in the middle, and you can run this right through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and you'll have that impression that you see on the veining of the leaves. So it's really cool. And I took it another step and I did it on the inside of the card. So when I stamped this little bumblebee leaf, I just put the die, before I adhered it to the card base, I just ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I just put that, and look at that. It looks like, at first glance, you think maybe it's stamped on there, but then like you look, oh wow, that's impressed into there. So how is that like for a really cool thing to do with that card? So we have our Cajun Craze leaf there. Now I'm going to put my dies back in my container, because you know these dies, they have a little bit of wanderlust, and they like to find themselves all over the place. So we now have our card to look at. We've run through our stitching. We've die cut out of a white, and we have this left over, right? Then we cut this one out, and we're going to pop it in here. So now we can really get to town here. Now, I'm going to pop this in, and just like I did in my another video, I'm just going to pop this, I'm going to just keep this in place with a little bit of Scotch tape, because I'm going to not want to mount it yet because I have some fun things to put on the front. I'm going to use a 1 inch, yes, it's 1 inch. So imagine if you're cutting your 6x6 plaid tidings paper, you're going to get 6 strips out of it here. So I have a 1 inch by 6, and I'm going to mount that right on the left side of my front panel, covering up a little bit of my Cajun Craze there. And I am going to get my, here it is, my Stampin' Seal. Oh, I like that color there too. Get this little guy started here, and boom. I'm going to put this on the left side of my card front here. Just get at the corner there. And like I said, that's 1 inch wide and I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4. Grab my scissors here, my paper snips, and I'm going to snip off that little edge there. Okay, so now I have that Cajun Craze pulled out of the paper there, and then I have this gorgeous bumblebee paper ribbon that comes with the In Color collection there. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap that around. So we're going to put some adhesive right on that edge there. Let me pull this up here and get that. Boom. I think I'm actually getting to the end of my Stampin' Seal, but boy, did it last a long time. There is more than in our old snail. So you're just going to put that, you can put it right at the edge or just covering up a little bit of the edge. You want to show off that pretty paper. I always pull the ribbon. I pull it against my chest so that I have like, oh, look at me. I put my seal over too far, but it's still going to be used. So just get your ribbon put on there nice and straight there. There we go. Kind of keeping it taut as you pull it around there. So there, now we can work on getting that onto the front of our card. So let's just put some Stampin' Seal there. Little in the corner here, little in the corner here. There we go. And we'll put it on the front of our card, leaving a 1/8 inch border all around all 4 sides, the top, the bottom, left and right. So you can see the makings now of our card here. And if you need to put any glue, but actually the tape did work really well there. So the next thing I did was I wanted to add in that peacock leaf. So it's going to pop in there, and I did pop it up with dimensionals. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals here. But you know what? I'm not going to pop him on yet because I want to show you what I did with the sentiment. Now on this sentiment here, you'll notice there's 2 different fonts here, and I actually mixed them up, and I had like this one with the other one, but I actually do like them when they match. So your friendship is something I know I can count on. Thank you, as you can see there. On this one, I thought of you today. I'm so glad you're in my life. So what I did is I used the dies in the ornate frames, and that's going to be coming down here. And just like I did on this one, when you go to put this together, if you just take your snips and you cut any of your labels or your dies that you stamp on, if you just cut them in half, you can just adhere a little bit of each one. It's like you cut it in the middle and you spread it apart, and then you just make sure you're straight on the top and the bottom, and you have a nice border. And you can actually pull it down here too, but it gets a little bulky, but I liked it, just gave it enough to pop it off of the card. So that's what I did on this one. So I thought, well, why can't I do the same thing on this one? So I'm going to cut this one in half. I'm going to put some seal on everywhere, where is my craft mat when I need it, right? Guys and gals, what am I doing? So then I just put that right there, and I kind of use my fingers as a guide here to see that it's flat there. And then I just take the other side and I look and make sure that I've got the same amount of space on each end. And once again, I just use my fingers to make sure that this is smooth and straight and flush on those sides. And then I'll just pop some dimensionals. Now I just had them, there they are, and put some dimensionals behind there. By putting my sentiment label on first, it then lets me put the placement of my leaves a little bit better. Then I'm not trying to fight to get, and I actually am going to put a dimensional right in the middle because the Cajun Craze is darker, and I don't know if it was just my lighting, but it looked like I was seeing something in the middle. But if I put that dimensional there, it won't. So then you're just going to put your sentiment there. There we go. And then now I feel I can have more control over where my leaf is going to be. So my peacock leaf, put some dimensionals on that leaf. I think I was kind of working a little off camera there. Who knows what's going on? Haha. So there we go. And let's just kind of put a little bit of an angle there. And there you go. And we're not going to need all of this stem. So let's just, let's do a little surgery on that. And then we're going to put this cute little yellow bumblebee one. And I'm going to want to see the bottom of that, because I'm going to put a little bow on there just to add another little touch of autumn there. And this time I'm using my linen thread, not my trim. My trim is nice when I need, and I just use 2 layers of it. I just always like, when I'm using twine, I love to use 2 layers of the twine because it just gives it a more finished look for me, unless I'm running out of twine, and then it's only going to be a single bow. So just kind of play with your bow. I've actually sat and watched bow tutorials, but I still always have my bows having their little tails going opposite directions. Okay, so we're just going to snip off that, grab our glue dots. And like I said, put a little ribbon around there, and then you can just pull it back. And I'm going to put the middle of my bow on my glue dot. Then I'll use my take your pick tool to pull it off of there. If you're doing a class or you're doing a whole bunch of these, you could rip off, you could put a whole bunch of bows on there, and they're already adhered. And then you're just going to put that right at the bottom of your leaf. But you know what? You should probably put the glue dot against the paper and not against your thumb, because then it will stick. And then if you need to do any more trimming, you can do that there. Now we're going to want to put a dimensional under the base of our leaf there, because it's going to be against the cardstock front, but the tip of it doesn't need a dimensional here because it's already raised underneath the peacock leaf. So look at that. Is that cute or what? You've got all those autumn colors coming through. Oh, I just love it. And you'll notice here too, I put, oh, it actually does look like I did it. I thought I put one at the edge of the ribbon and one at there, so it actually did. Okay, so I thought of you today. On the inside of this card, I did the same thing. You can see that die with the stitching on the stamped leaf, the bumblebee, and then I just put, whoop, there we go. And then I'm just going to put that on the middle, on the inside. I'm just going to get that 1/8 inch border around all the sides. And the font matches the outside and the inside. And then I thought, well, I need to add a little bit of something, something. So then I got out, yes, I'm still pulling them out, guys, my peacock. Where are they? Where are they? I just had them. Oh, here they are. Nope. Ah. Okay. So what I did is I put a peacock rhinestone. They're probably sitting somewhere around here. I put a peacock one and a peacock one from my Noble Peacock because they were left over. But you can easily make your own by, I'm going to show you how. Oh, here they are. These were my Noble Peacock ones. I just pulled off one of the peacock, but I want to show you something here. I'm going to pull this out real quick. How you can make a rhinestone in any color you want. Okay, here is an actual regular clear rhinestone that kind of looks silver. If you want to make that a different color, let's say I'm just going to use the Cajun Craze. So I'm going to, here is my dark Cajun Craze blend. Now you can't do this with markers, but you can do it with your blends because they're alcohol based. So I'm not going to use my brush end because I like to keep this brush end as fresh and pointy and unadulterated as I can. So you're going to use that blunt end, and all you do is color. Now you see how that color has changed there? It's, and the more I color it, it's turned into Cajun Craze or some sort of a shade of that. Then I can just come back in and I can just lift that up. A lot of times I'll just want to make sure that it's dry before I do that because I have got ink on here before. So I'm just going to pop that, and then you want to be careful. I'm going to use this here. I'm just going to, I don't want to use my finger because it's still wet. Okay, so I put a Cajun Craze there, and then I'm just going to pop a peacock. And of course, I could have made this peacock. I just happen to have these left over, and I'm still using them up from my retired stash here. As you can see, I do have a few of them. But you literally can make any color you want, just like I did here, this small one, and you saw me make that one. And so that just adds on, and just make sure they dry, because like I said, sometimes I've picked them up and I've got ink on my finger and then got it onto my card base. But that's an easy way to dress up your card with some fun. And as you can see here, this is pulling up a little bit because I taped it on the back. That's where you just come back in and put a little glue and adhere it down. But it's got that really neat effect of the inlaid die in there. Isn't that a cute set? I just love these dies with the stitching on the outside, but yet the stitching on each one of the leaves here that gets impressed into, and it's really almost like foolproof. Like when you're putting it together, it's very easy to get them in there. You don't have to line up things too much. And so you've got some great sentiments in there. So if you have any questions on how to make this card using the Love of Leaves bundle and the stitched leaves dies, just imagine how many fun things you can do with these stitched lines on this die. I'm literally scouring Pinterest to see what kind of fun things people are doing. But if you have any questions, you can always contact me via email, cindyleeb@gmail.com, or you can call me or text me at 724-323-2296. I've got to know so many wonderful people through doing videos and having my blog, and I thank you all for the encouragement and all the wonderful words that you and comments you leave. If you want to subscribe to my blog, I like to post on Monday, Wednesday, Friday with a video on Wednesday, and anytime I might have any fun news for you or promotions Stampin' Up! Is having, you can also find those on my blog. My YouTube channel, you can subscribe to that where the subscribe button is, and then you'll be notified each Wednesday when I do a YouTube video. So thanks for buzzing by, friends.